That's all right.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm running around to a couple of schools and it's just longer than expected to get into a computer at work. I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna kill me.
You're too far away for that. Right?
All right. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Excellent. I'm well. Hey, nice to see you guys again virtually, but good to see you again.
Technology would be advancement.
Yeah.
It's
So we are all here, all 9 of the teachers that you observed, and we didn't have a set agenda for this time. So do you?
Right at the last moment, so I didn't get the last thing you said.
Do you have a plan for this time on this?
Yeah, well, I just thought this would be a good way for us to sort of recap, do like sort of overview of the conversations that I had with some of the teachers and some things that I observed. And I was hoping that a lot of the feedback that I provided to the teachers had sort of been implemented, and then just talk about like what's worked since or not worked since, so you can carve out an idea, think a plan for what's next.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Sounds great. Do you guys want to, why don't we start, do you want to just go around?
Okay.
Give some thoughts of what you tried?
Okay. So, as far as like we did feedback last time we talked about stories, I've been letting students talk more and listening more to their stories, and that's been utterly amazing, the stories that they have to share, and it's created some really good connections. I brought up like a weird problem of pushback, and some students are noticing like I'm connecting more, and I think it's just because I haven't gotten around to all of the students and having deep conversations with each one of them, that some of them are seeing like maybe it's favoritism or I'm not giving the time that they want. So I'm gonna pull in like even though my small school already is like a co-gen group, I'm gonna pull like a even smaller co-gen group of the 3 boys that are giving me a little bit of pushback, because I think if I give them some extra time and validation with their stories, I think that will heal that whatever they perceive as a broken friendship. I think that will heal that.
Cool. I have like a few, I don't know if you want to do this where I give you direct feedback based on your observations, or we could let's just do that, right? And I think other folks will pick up on that as we go along. So yeah, I think that what oftentimes happens when you're in the initial way of implementing strategies that allow the kids' narratives to emerge is completely natural and understandable for the students whose narratives are not being up right away to feel a little bit better about them. And I think the ways to do that is you always want to pick up on practices that for those kids that would not be properly featured. So for example, when we talked about enacting cosmopolitanism, the beauty of cosmopolitanism is that it gives the students who are not directly being focused on an opportunity to have roles to play in how the class works. So for example, if I'm starting off and it's like those 3 boys who are consistently, whose stories are being played out, allow the other 2 or 3 students to have something to do that gives them a role, that gives them power. So if one person's voice is featured, the other person has more responsibilities. And this way you kind of even out. Because it's natural that the person whose voice is being felt first to have a sort of like, so then they have like more control. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So more specifically, right? If 3 boys whose stories are always being felt, you identify the 3 students whose stories are not being felt and say, you're the person who's the classroom technology expert. So that if your voice is not being displayed properly in our narrative, you're the person who has a job to make sure that the computers are working. The idea is that you want to have equal distribution of roles, so that if one person feels empowered in one domain, the others will feel empowered in another. And again, if you go through this piece, this is essentially around cosmopolitanism. Cosmopolitanism talks about everybody being responsible for something that's going on in the classroom, and the enactment of roles for students in the classroom. When there's an enactment of a particular role, what it does is allows you to have some ownership. Yes?
Yes. Sorry, sometimes you're cutting in and out, so that we don't really.
Yeah, I'm going through Outlook on this end also. So that works. And then also keep in mind that, you know, if through the enactment of one practice, someone is being favored, and you might not have had the time since my last visit yet, but to understand that you're also rotating. You're rotating whose role, who gets an opportunity to have their role enacted within a different way. So if the first 3 co-gens has feedback from a particular set of students, after their whole gen, you're asking them to someone else heard in that way. And especially with your school, because it was so small, you know, it's easy to get that rotation going where everyone gets involved.
For sure.
Yeah.
You want to say your name?
Yeah, so I'm Kevin. I'm the guy who didn't rap, but now is trying to rap.
Yeah, you didn't have to rap. It's just, it was such a perfect moment.
No, I know.
Your class, by the way, Kevin, like, it's been on my mind and in my heart for a little bit. Because it was like, perfect moment. Oh my God, that was the moment. But again,
Yeah, totally. And since that happened, the kid who asked me to do it, I'm trying to integrate that more and more with him.
okay.
But yeah, so things I've integrated are, trying to be more vulnerable. And like you said, see what sticks, take chances, and see what sticks and see what works, and don't give up on something once just because it didn't work. Keep trying it, and being more vulnerable. And then secondly, just like Ashley, trying to integrate stories, because something that after you left that really resonated with me was maybe I don't come from the same socioeconomic background as my students, or I don't experience the same things as Black and brown people because I'm white, but I am human and I do have stories, and those stories can connect with my students, and so I've been trying to integrate those into the content, and I think what I've started to see as success is students are beginning to open up more, and they're beginning to just listen more. Instead of, they're starting to turn away from their cell phones and to turn into the lesson. So those have been 2 huge successes. And then something I'm going to try these next 6 weeks is to have a rap battle as a final project.
So the question is, are you going to be the one in the rap?
I could be. I mean, I definitely want it to be them. But yeah,
Yeah.
I can put myself out there. Yeah, they do need a model. I don't know if I'm
You know, yeah, if you have an aesthetic, oh man, it sucks, but it's okay. Cause like I have like supposed to be super great Wi-Fi, and I'm sure you guys do because you're like in the district offices. We still have these gaps, but it's fine. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking about, Kevin, for you is we should talk about this is, you know, if as the students go through that, maybe there's a way that we could do a virtual interaction between some of your students and some of the kids out in New York. So let's sit and talk about a way to do that.
Okay.
If they're creating something to be witnessed by some kids, you know, in another city or another state, I'd be in to do that. In fact, I was literally before this meeting, I was in a school where I was working with a teacher whose students would benefit from having some other kids to hear them. And so let you and I kind of figure out a way where we can have that kind of exchange going on. Love the vulnerability narrative. Love the fact that you're holding on to the idea of story. You know, also don't think that you have to have story guiding throughout. The big piece is just like metaphor and analogy throughout each lesson. Like, so stories, metaphor, and analogy all together work for the same purpose pedagogically. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a big, deep, huge, elaborate, constructed narrative that takes up the entire period. It can really be more about what kind of metaphors, what kind of analogies can connect to a particular topic I'm sharing. I know you go through social studies.
Yeah.
Right, so, and so also think about what kind of contemporary issues can relate to these historical facts I'm sharing with young people. Right, so just, keep that in mind also. Like, you're in the right place. The idea of like keying in on vulnerability, keying on story, just expand out to realize you don't have to really just be like only a huge narrative alone. Right. Metaphor, analogy, connection to real life examples, all that stuff works. And there's such a, again, I think it's just so powerful when you say, listen, man, I'm white, but I got my own stories. And just hold on to that and don't let go of it.
Sure.
And another thing I'd like you to do in particular, I think it's good for everyone, but see if you could create an opportunity to see yourself teaching. I think I said this at the keynote to a lot of folks, but your class is primed for it because your students would love to have to be like the videotaper of a lesson. So you get to see yourself teaching. So I don't want you to be hard on yourself and think, like, I have to work on being vulnerable, I have to work on this, I have to work on that, I have to work on that. No, you're doing some stuff that works too. And I think sometimes watching yourself to study what you're doing well is just as important as being critical of what you need to improve. And that's not gonna come until you see yourself. You're doing some good stuff now, right? Yeah. It's just a matter of not doing it accidentally. Being deliberate about your practice and you're doing it on purpose.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll hook up about the rap battle for sure.
Yeah, that's late, man. We're gonna do some cool stuff.
Cool. Thank you.
By the way, I don't know if you guys, anybody who can make it up to New York on May 26th, from the Denver team, just on down to teachers in the schools, etc. But we're doing the Science Genius Battles up in New York on May 26th. Where the kids are like, they're writing raps about science content, like literally an all-out citywide battle. You guys are invited to come up. Because literally, I wasn't joking when I said we would do a Denver one. So like, you come up on May 26th and check it out. Everyone's invited.
Nice.
Thank you.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
Who's next? Hey,
Bridget.
All right, my name's Bridget, and I'm out at Montbello.
Yep.
Let's see, I've been trying to be less reactive and a little bit more responsive and learning to respond in different ways. I guess overall less uptight. So I've got that traditional mindset where it's like, oh, there's noise, or I see headphones and cell phones, and what is this, a party in here? So I'm trying to take the back seat and really, I'm obviously not the driver. My students are the drivers of the classroom, and I'm there to guide and facilitate. So I've been trying to allow more freedom of expression in various forms. And even to a point where I have some students who do like to just start rapping in the middle while I'm teaching. And so instead of knowing that we're getting derailed, let it happen, but sometimes even encourage it, because we know it's going to happen in class, probably by the same students. So I've been prepared with something like a phrase like, yo, Cleveland, drop the beat, because I know he wants to drop a beat, and when he doesn't, I know something's wrong with him, because he's not acting like himself, and it's something our class can actually, we still function, we work off of it, but instead of turning it into that negative, oh, close your mouth, and why are you doing that, going more with the flow. And even I have students who, they like to kind of stand up, or they like to dribble a basketball or bobble a basketball. And it doesn't mean they're off task. And I'm trying to really be more, I think, just responsive to understanding that, hey, nobody wants to sit in their chair and feel so restricted. So if they feel like they need to get up, I'm trying to kind of be super cool with it, play it off, because I've found more that naturally the class is still functioning and will make it back on track, even if it feels like for a little while we're off in La La Land. The kids naturally bring it back together without me even having to get into that crazy teacher voice and do a countdown or turn out the lights. And just be more flexible with the kids running the show and giving them opportunities. Kind of like the cosmopolitan classroom, having jobs and knowing that we all express ourselves in different ways and we have different needs and wants. It's kind of a hodgepodge of things.
Yeah, Bridget, I remember your classroom so well. You know what I was thinking for you about your pool? I think just being in your class, I can tell that you have such high expectations for the students and the things that you want from them. And it was just so blatantly obvious to me that your heart wasn't ensuring that they did well. And there was a challenge in coming to grips with what that should look like. But you had that study period. I want you to use your study period as your experimental period. Right? Like, you know when you had the kids in there, was this study period? It was it was the study period that you had.
Yep, we trained.
Everyone I gave you a class, you had like a class and then you had the study hall.
Yep.
Use study hall as your lab for all the crazy wackadoodle stuff that you're not sure you can let happen in your regular class. Right? So I think you need a full-fledged break, right, from what the norms are. So create your own lab space in that space. Because in that space, the kids don't necessarily have to be able to finish your science lesson and in that space. So use that to experiment with it. Let's play a little music in the background. Like I think I mentioned to you specifically when I put in the class. A little music in the background, just to settle. Like it's okay, it doesn't have to be completely silent. Like those kind of things, fire in study hall and then extend that into the classroom. And then I was watching, so during your lesson, remember the kids were watching that video about, what was it called again?
It was Evolution and Lucy.
Yeah, the evolution video. Let them do the video. Right? So it's like, be okay with creating classroom tasks that allows the students to be able to create the artifacts and the learning steps from them. Right? So, they watch a really cool video about evolution. Let them watch the video and then do their own version of the video. And then use their version of the video to teach all the rest of the classes. So that if they get featured in the artifact that you're teaching from, it changes their relationships with the content and changes the relationship with all the other students as well as the content. And this is something that can be implemented by everyone. Is just think about ways where the kids can not be passive participants in the teaching experience by making them active in the stuff you're teaching from. So another example is have the kids do their own textbook. So part of the assignment is for them to take the content as it plays out in the traditional text and then create their own version of a textbook using their own language, their own examples, their own images. And that's how you activate the imagination. By allowing them to be the ones who create the artifacts and teach from and through. And I don't think I shared that with you when I was there. I think it's like on the flight home, I started thinking about your class a lot more, and I was like, yes, why can't the kids do that stuff as well? Because what that will do is it will help Bridget be comfortable with allowing them to be more creative, because the assignments are inherently more creative. But when you go to the class, it sort of opens up the space for that flexibility. Not only are you guys learning it, but you're creating the stuff you're teaching through, or teaching from.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And and then also co-teaching. So another thing that I saw in that study hall period is that the kids naturally wanted to teach each other. It's like, I don't know if you remember when I was there was a group of students. It was a young man, African American man, two Latino girls. They were sitting right by the door towards the back of the class. You remember?
Yeah, yep, I
You
know.
remember. Just there you see one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, those kids were naturally teaching each other. They were cracking jokes, of course, but they were actually teaching each other naturally. They were so what do you think of this? Well, I think this sort of natural dialogue around the content. And so they would be perfect for certain co-teachers. Let them teach a bit of the lesson. Essentially just doing what they're doing naturally with each other. towards the entire class. And you can experiment with that first during that study hall so you can see what it looks like and then implement it in your full science class.
Great. Thanks for the ideas.
Cool. No worries.
All right, I'm Kayla Serrano, and I have the 6th grade language arts that you observed at Mount Bello. Okay, so some of the things that I've implemented since you've seen, the biggest thing probably would be I did jobs. So I wrote the kids a letter, and then at the bottom I gave them each like a different job and described it and why that would be important for them and why I would value them in that role and felt that that would be a good fit for them. Since then, it's been really awesome. I did do a Google survey to them too to kind of like catch up with them since we've had them for I guess a little over a week now, to see how it's going for them, if they have any questions, things like that. And then like the big piece of that was like, okay, should we keep doing this? And would this also be something good to do for my kids next year as well? And overwhelmingly it was yes. But on top of that, it's taken so much stress off of me, like you said that it would. And I'm seeing kids have more agency in the classroom. I'm seeing kids talk more to each other and help each other out with their jobs, even if it's not theirs. Like when a student is absent, because I don't have a sub position or anything like that yet, because there were so many other jobs that I needed. But it's been really helpful and great for them. And then another thing that I've done was I've started to do music, like you suggested, during like independent work time. And one of my kids in each class is like the DJ. So that has been really great too. They're talking more, especially that first class that you saw that is just kind of quiet. So that's been good too. Some of my own next steps would be I really want to do the suggestions that you gave us for the vocabulary with having them enact that and document that and put that up in the room, whether it be like through pictures or things that they create. And then also I really like the discourse wall, and I brought that back to my team lead, and we're going to start doing that as a practice in the school, in middle school. So thank you for this.
Cool, that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super dope. You know, and I was going to say, you know, even in the midst of all of this, I learned a lot from you guys as well. I mean, that Humans of New York activity that you opened up with is something that I'm going to add to my repertoire when I go work with teachers. Right? So, you know, this is it's a shared learning experience. It's such a phenomenal one. Make sure you share that with the folks who are at the team there. Because, you know, the idea of it's sort of not only answer questions, but improve their vocabulary. I mean, in the class goes to by the way, I was thinking about lighting because it is just so relaxing in there because of the lighting.
Thank you.
The one thing I've learned whenever I interact with teachers is that if you right, so maybe in that early class in the morning, in the first lighting, that if you want to give a response, switch up the lighting, like literally. While in some classes, I'm like, work on the environment. In your class, it's super early and they still sleepy. Wake their asses up. So it's like.
I'm sorry, you keep breaking up. What did you say?
So that same class was super quiet and super pensive. If you had them after lunch later on in the day, would probably be a little bit more rambunctious. And so if you need them to be more energetic in the morning, you use different phenomena and get different responses at different points of the day. And so I'm glad you say music, like some good turn-up music in the morning might be what gets them up, right? So if the music is calm, and the lighting is relaxing, that might facilitate their being a bit more relaxed. And so if you want to be able to get different responses from students, change stuff that's going on in the context, and that stuff will actually dictate how they respond. You can, you know, without being like a master manipulator of student emotions. You could literally construct different responses at different points of the day based on the stuff that you're pulling in the environment of the class.
That's a great idea.
And then also, remember also that we said, with your class also, trying to give them more open-ended questions, because the assignment was phenomenal, but the questions were kind of limiting, to allow them to be able to flow a little bit more. Like the answer, the questions don't necessarily have to just be in a format, like a form, right? Dash, that, then dash, and then dash, right? Or give me an open response to this, and then you can tailor later on to the more specific response.
Great. Shane, over to you.
Okay, we're gonna skip over to Shane.
What's up, Dr. E? It's Shane.
Okay.
I teach PE over at McMean.
Shane, anybody, before you start talking, go and see what Shane does with PE. How do you make little kids that attentive during PE? It's gifted. Yeah, you're gifted, bro.
It's been my life's work, Dr. But, your visit actually helped me reflect. I'm naturally pretty reflective, but I wasn't necessarily reflecting on the things that we talked about in your visit. And one of the things you mentioned was the code-generated resources in my room. So I've got academic resources up on the wall, but they're not, they're just posters that had been made by some adult somewhere that I printed out and put up, and they weren't made with the input of the students. And so I haven't put anything up yet, but I've been brainstorming on kind of what that would look like. And one idea I had was for my classroom rules poster, for each rule, take a picture of a kid following that rule and put it up next to it. Same thing for the actual skill-related posters. Take a picture of a kid skipping and put it up next to skipping. Or for hydration, take a picture of a kid taking a drink of water. And so. And just the idea that, it's their space, and so they should be represented in their space, and not just an adult-made poster that I think should be up there, but rather something that they come up with and that they're involved with. And then another thing that I kind of took from your visit was the idea of gradual release and more student voice in my classroom. So I've been giving them more choice on activities. So if I have a certain unit, say it's a basketball unit for dribbling, I'm going to give them an option to do a few different dribbling activities, let them pick which one they like the most, rather than just saying, here's what we're doing today, and you guys don't have a choice. And then finally, the last thing was music. I think you mentioned, to be more aware of the students I'm teaching, the kind of music that they generally listen to, and to kind of input that into my classroom, because I already use music pretty religiously, but it's not necessarily the music that they follow, right? And so now I got Whip Nene, I got Rolex, I got all that stuff playing now. And they're doing the dances and trying to, they're trying to teach me, and it's been fun. But at the same time, it's given them an idea that, again, this is your space, this isn't just my space, and that they have an input in what goes on. And so I just wanted to thank you for those suggestions that you gave me while you were here.
Cool, man. No worries, no worries. I'm just glad you're thinking about them, and the whole goal is just to follow up and help with the ideas, and also, now that you're getting the ideas of things to do, next step is that when the Imaginarium crew comes to hang out with you, to move you into the place of execution. So I'm glad you're thinking about it, and now you want to get in there and seeing it done, and use that as an exemplar. And the last thing I remember, Shane, from your class that we talked about was, don't be afraid to use that PE space as a content and pedagogy space as well, because you're touching on so much content implicitly. Mm-hmm. So always you use the opportunities to talk about breathing in science class, and how many kids are fitting into the hula hoop, how many are being added or subtracted away from it. Always look at every experience through the content lens as well as and concurrently with the lens of what it is that you do so brilliantly. As you were speaking just now, it just came to me, what would be really cool is also for your guys at the school. We really enjoyed hanging out with you guys at the school. But bring some of the content teachers into that PE space, the gym space, to brainstorm with you about how they can connect it to content and use exemplars of what's going on in the gym in their classes. So you guys have all heard as a theme how I keep talking about making it more student focused and more student generated. But what you had with being in the gym with the young people is that you have the opportunity for the teachers, for example, your math teacher, who I see next to you, can now use those experiences to pull into her exemplars in math class. Right? So, use that so that, there's oftentimes a demarcation between what is academic and non-academic.
Right.
And I think when the young folks see us explicitly making those connections across context, it helps them to be able to increase their content knowledge. So you guys work in unison to make like the first math/PE, content context space together. And I think it'd be really, really cool for the kids and then for you guys to collab. Because folks don't really see that as a thing that gets done, but you can do it and really do it well.
Yeah, it's like there's this stigma, it comes out, and it's like just inherent among schools everywhere that like teaching in a classroom with the same kids all day is different than teaching a special area. And I think that suggestion of bringing that content into both rooms so that it's kind of a transfer for both areas is going to help the kids, one, connect to my content better, but then two, when they leave my classroom, they'll be able to understand that we're all doing the same thing here, just trying to help them grow and learn. So I appreciate that.
My man, no doubt, man. Cool.
All right, I'm next. I'm Stephanie. I had 8th grade U.S. history at Montbello. If you remember, we talked about chicken for about 5 minutes when you were in there. Yeah. So some things that I've implemented, I already had pictures of the kids on the back wall holding their high school goals with the little graduation cap.
I love that. Love that. And I don't know if I told you this, my favorite one was the one where there was no kid there.
Yeah, he just held it to the side, there's no body.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have those pictures, but at this point in the year, they're teenagers, they've changed a lot. They look different. They kind of look like little babies in the pictures on the back wall, so we still have those up. But I took your advice of taking pictures of them working and them doing the expected behaviors in the classroom and put those up. I was already taking those pictures because I'm like, they're my kids and I make a scrapbook every year because I'm just that kind of person. Make a scrapbook every year. And I was like, wait, why am I just putting the pictures straight in the scrapbook? I should hang them up so the kids can see them and I'll make my scrapbook later. So I took all my pictures and I put them where I used to hang exemplary assignments. So instead of hanging up their papers, I'm just putting pictures of them doing the work that they're already doing exemplary. And they like it because they call the back wall like the wall of shame because they all think their pictures are embarrassing. But the new pictures on the other wall, that's the wall of fame. And they like that. So they were pumped, and they're like, oh, that's why you take creepy pictures of us all the time, Miss. I'm like, yeah, that's why. And then I make a scrapbook. And we're working on, the kids are giving me suggestions to create a playlist for class. We're tired of the same old Pandora stations. We always listen to Pandora, and they're like, hey, miss, we're kind of done with Michael Jackson. So they want to make the playlist, so they're giving me suggestions and edited songs that I can put on a playlist to play every day. So we're constructing that currently. And my last thing, you had mentioned to me that timers would be like my saving grace.
Yeah.
Timers. And I'm still working on working it out and picking who I want to run the timers. Currently, I've been running it. Trying to figure out who's my most dedicated cell phone user in the classroom that I can use that like kind of evil act for good, I guess. So like how can I get this kid who always has the phone in their hands to help me with the phone? So we're working on implementing timers more and more every day because I like to give them a large chunk of work time, but I found that if that large chunk of time goes unmanaged, they're not good at making the call like, hey, I'm not really working very hard right now, or I'm a little behind. They're not great at time management, so I have to kind of help them facilitate that skill so that they can go to high school and hopefully they will take that skill with them and be able to manage their time a lot better and complete their assignments on time instead of always late, which a lot of times it's late. They get things done, but it's like a week after we did it. So I'm trying to teach them better time management skills with timers.
Yeah, I really loved hanging out in your class, and definitely with the timer thing, more sooner than later, and even if it's not having a kid who can do the timers for you, like just you being active about bringing in 2 or 3 different timer series, right?
Yeah.
There's something about just the idea of hearing 3 of them go off at different times that does something valuable. And then remember, never use round times,
Yep.
right? It's always 4 minutes and 32 seconds, 3 minutes and 19 seconds, just to be a little behind. Another thing for you, I guess for everyone, but for you specifically, is teachers are oftentimes really fearful or don't think about the idea of having the students co-construct the rubrics with you as well. So have them co-construct what the parameters are for the assignments. You'd be surprised at how strict they are and how high their expectations are, and they'll always live up to their own expectations, so you could say, you came up with it with me. So for each of the assignments, for each of the narratives they have to construct, have them sit with you and say, okay, what does a 4 look like? What's like completely perfect? Like, how much time are you working on tasks? How much content are you putting in? How many examples are you putting in? Like for each assignment, have them co-construct what the perfect thing looks like and what imperfection looks like, so that as they're doing the task, you have that in front of them as the ideal. And I think that with the time, it will push it up to another level for you.
That's awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and don't stop taking the creepy pictures. It's all good.
I won't.
Okay, so I'm Laura from Beach Court, the preschool teacher. So one of the things we talked about was making, I kind of like yours, about being more vulnerable, and so I've been continuing to dance, putting myself out there, doing my whip nay nay as well, so that the kids can see that I am trying, and I'm not perfect at it, but that I'm really trying. And then I just thought what you said about making mistakes and was really like powerful, that those can be such learning opportunities that they can see that, even adults, even the person there to teach the class makes mistakes, and just like, not like, I guess probably in the past I would have kind of covered over it and, hope they didn't see it, and now I'm like, oh, I just spelled your name with an I and your name has an O. Oh my gosh, silly me, but I can fix it, and just like being really trying to get them into that mindset of that if they make a mistake, that we can all fix things. And then, with some of the kids that I was talking to about that have a really hard time, like with that growth mindset piece where they say I can't a lot, like trying to break tasks into smaller pieces and then really acknowledging it when they keep trying and really recognizing that effort piece and using those specific words when they give up and say they can't, like saying, I know you can, just keep trying, and then kind of trying to set them up for success by breaking tasks into smaller pieces that they can be successful at, and just using the big acknowledgments for those times where they're really, persevering in that task, because they're building that growth mindset piece.
So unfortunately,
kind of cutting out.
Connection just got super bad out of nowhere. You guys still there?
Yeah.
Here.
Can you see us?
We're here.
She got dirty of what you just said for some odd reason. Like I see you, but you're like blurry now and the sound coming out. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. You're all like blurs right now. I see all your faces perfectly before and now so blurry. This is just always trust the collective. Be mistakes, and then have them correct you. It's just those small kind of things. I missed like 90% of what you said, so I can't give you direct feedback right now, but those things should work. And then of course, I'm glad you mentioned the idea of putting the tests down to smaller pieces. Like, think about every 40-minute class as a full lesson, that each have their openers and their closers and their reflections. Because sometimes for the whole entire 40 minutes, you might lose the students. But if you're thinking about, okay, what form of any lessons am I teaching within this one period, it allows them to have small successes in between that changes the amours about everything.
Did you catch all that? More or less.
Did you guys miss it?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The reception just got so bad. It's cool though. Did I try and like call you again to see if it clears up?
Yeah, should we do that?
Sure.
Just Sure, let's
log
try
in and
that.
log out.
Okay.
I'll do that really quick.
Uh-oh, again?
It's like clockwork. It's like a peaks and valleys with the,
Huh?
it's like peaks and valleys with the,
The internet.
this is why I said you should have an EGC. Nobody listens to me. I said it would be optimal, because I've actually done these before, it's really good.
It's so interesting, just so many of the things he says are like actually like he talks all the time about
There he is.
Hi.
Hey. Is that
I'm
better?
here, but it's not any better. You're still all awful. Trying to look like you
Well, we didn't log out, so how about we log out?
Oh, wait, we're gonna try.
It sounds like I can.
she had to turn back phone back on.
He's still there for a minute.
It's all good. Can you hear me though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no.
We need like the, what's that Mars movie? Where he's like putting the signs up. What is that movie? Where he goes to Mars, he gets stuck there.
Okay, are you there?
Martian,
Down here, it must be beyond our control with the quality of the video. It's all good. It happens.
Okay, Justine, you're up, I think. Unless, Laura, you want to repeat anything or ask him a clarifying question.
No, thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, Justine.
Hi, it's Justine, second grade math over at McMean.
Yes. Love your class. Yes.
First, I appreciate so much you, with our administration in the room validating that it is really important to take the time out to just sit there and breathe with your students, whether they're upset or overexcited, which was the case the day you came to visit, and just like hearing you say that in front of everybody and being like, it's so powerful, has just given, I haven't started math before like 12:45 since you came, because we're just taking 15 minutes to like take a deep breath, decompress, some yoga, and then move on, and it's really like paid off in productivity. So thank you for that. And then one of the things that we talked about was utilizing those kids in my class who really have the concepts down as co-teachers, and just, I've been meeting with, your buddy Eli, and then those other 4 that I immediately was like, oh, and these 3, and having them being the ones going around the room to check in during collaboration and problem solving time, and those kids giving feedback to the other kids because they already have mastered the concepts, has really brought them back into being super engaged within the class. So I thank you and they thank you for that too, which has been awesome.
Man, so like all good. And I would also say, the one thing that I'm always, even as I celebrate co-teaching, is to ensure that the students who are not the ones who get the content right away also get a chance to be co-teachers for non-content specific skills, right? So that everyone is an equal opportunity expert in a very different domain. So I remember, what homie who was the drummer. I don't think Eli was the drummer. Eli was the math whiz. Who was the drummer?
Oh, but Kentrell is your drummer, and he's working on giving feedback for like engagement and like behavior. So he stays engaged by pointing out what other kids are showing like behaviors of engaged learners, and he's loving that role. It's great for him.
Yeah, let him do his thing. Like, I think that's great. And then also they'll have their content expertise. And then on occasion, just for the sake of being creative, maybe not every day, switch it up. Like let Eli do a little check-in, let Cantrell do a little bit of co-teaching. Now, I understand that Cantrell may not be the content expert, but just for the sake of creating a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be validated for something somebody else is validated for, mix it up a tad, and then go back to what your norms are. So you're establishing what your norms are, and then you're switching it up to keep the kids on their toes just a little bit, and that's magical. And again, just keep doing that work with them. Here's one thing I find, sometimes when you say yoga, a lot of folks get put off by it, and so sometimes it's in the language. So maybe you just want to say, kids doing really deep meditative and breathing exercises, doing breathing exercises to refocus. Because the practice in itself doesn't even have to be a yoga practice. It's just a human being reflection practice. Like my daughter's 4, and she was watching Daniel Tiger. Anybody know Daniel Tiger?
Yeah.
She was watching Daniel Tiger the other day, and he was like, when you're so mad that you want to roar, take a deep breath and count to 4. And I'm like, yes, Daniel Tiger. It's the same process of just saying, time out, breathe, count to 4, reset, refocus, work out. And for the record, that would work absolutely brilliant. Not in Bridget's class. Not Shane's class.
Shannon.
I wrote your names down. I forgot again. First class in like the restart schools.
Yeah.
With the small classes.
Yeah.
Do those timeouts for those kids to recalibrate and breathe and refocus. It works well for those second graders and for your high school students as well.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so worry about naming it, switch the rules up a little bit, keep doing a meditation and focusing thing, and you guys are good to go. And again, I wasn't joking. Do that math PE partnership. You guys look at each other again. Commit and do it.
Okay, we'll send you a video.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other questions?
No.
Any parting thoughts for us? Yes.
I've always got parting thoughts, people. Again, I always want to begin by just saying to every teacher who I've met with and had conversations with and who are even there right now, thank you for being open and willing to be critiqued in front of your peers and in folks from like this Denver Imaginarium office, and being open and accepting of critique. And I always say, the most amazing and powerful educators are those who are open enough to let their flaws be aired and don't take it personal. So thank you for that, number one. Number two, please keep the conversation going without me. Like you guys meet up once or twice after this and just have conversations with each other about what's working and what's not. And again, feel free to hit me up, and I always overcommit myself, but it's fine. Hit me up personally about things that you're working on that are or are not working well. So I'm down to talk with you through it. And then thirdly, I'm gonna try to get, to Kelly or some other folks from Imaginarium, I'm gonna do I'm doing a little reality pedagogy booklet.
Whoop, whoop. Yay.
Yeah, you guys have challenged me. And so I'm gonna give you guys a little RP booklet. It's gonna be like a little, short, really pithy like thing. But so you can keep, and it's gonna help you to just write down what you're implementing and how it's working and not, and bulleting down a lot of these details about the practice. And that should come to you guys shortly. But here's a beautiful thing. You can start constructing your own reality pedagogy booklets, right? So maybe your task individually on your own is, based on these ideas, what are these set of practices that we're implementing, that we're finding success with, and construct this booklet. If you construct these booklets for yourself, and you're creating for yourself what your reference point is around your pedagogy, that you can always go back and revisit. So I'll do my own, you do your own. Maybe we'll trade up and see what's working, what's not, what the uniform things are, and then we'll move forward from there. Any other questions for me?
No.
I have a kind of a question.
Yes.
So, a lot of my, my African American, my Black parents are hard to connect with. And I think that that's something that I would love to ask you about, if that is something that you can answer briefly. And I think that they just look at me and they're like, you don't know where I come from, you don't know where I grew up or where I grew up, and looking at you, that just looks really different. And what's the best way as a teacher to, really make all of my parents understand that I want to build a relationship with them and have the same goals for their kids?
Yeah, it's a perpetual issue, and I always say to teachers that part of the reason why a lot of the parents aren't that interested or engaged or misread the teacher is because we always get to them either when it's an issue or when we have an event. So it's like, I'm calling you now because your kids pissed me off. Or it's a cool night, show up. So what I would suggest is this. Look, the same practices that emotionally connect to the students are the same ones you need for your parents. So let's say you have you have a student who does something exemplary one day in class. What you want to do is you want to create a certificate of appreciation to the parent. You hear me?
Yeah.
You are a parent of the day because you sent your son to school to be excellent. And he did X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. And I know that child did that because of that child. That child did that because of you.
Cool.
And a parent who gets 3 of those from you will come to the next invitation that you have.
Awesome.
And so it's almost like the same process in connecting the students. When you see this, to make the connection to the fact that that child they did that because their parent and their parent may not have explicitly had anything to do with it. But to you, it's to recognize the parent's fault. Or print out parent appreciation certificates. Make sure that the parent has gotten at least 3 of those first. Then invite, they'll come.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of many techniques, but try that one and let me know how it goes.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I've never heard of that one, obviously positive phone calls about the kids and stuff, but directly to the parents is really cool.
You could put the
And
kid's
just
picture on.
just for me, I just want to, that there's a little girl that was in at the pull-out class who had gotten into the little
Yeah.
skirmish. Okay, what's happened? Anyone, any updates for me?
Shannon had to actually go pull that group of kids for lovely standardized testing this afternoon.
Right.
I have not seen her in the office or heard anything else, so I guess they must have had a pretty good restorative conversation and brought your compliments of her into that, and maybe that has been helping her along, but
Well, she said that they've been doing the time to talk. Yeah, so Shannon was able to share earlier, Shannon was able to share earlier that we did a success analysis protocol where each one of these guys talked about something that had been going well and to kind of dig into why it was going well. And she did share that in her group, one of the boys who had not been causing problems but had not been focused in what she was doing, she was able to really pull him out in that time to talk. Where she did in the beginning, she gave them all a time to share what had been going on and how they were feeling, to be empathetic towards one another. So she said that had been really positive.
Okay, so Shannon's, okay, good. Okay, Shannon's been on my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
Glad this is going well. Any other questions?
No. I think we're
Okay,
good.
good sign, good sign.
Yeah.
I either mesmerized you or frustrated the hell out of you, but either way, good sign. So,
Mesmerized.
again, glad things are going well. I miss you guys. I've been experiencing never in a fancy BMW. But again, as you move forward, just let me know how it's going. Stay in touch. I'm so glad you guys are implementing these strategies, seeing positive growth. And so Imaginarian team, just keep supporting them so they can see more growth. And I'm also glad you guys have all identified things that you're gonna keep working on moving forward. So, do that and fill me in on the details, okay?
All right, we will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
thanks.
No worries, folks, see you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye.
I'll tell her, she'll be really
I didn't